And thank you for joining us for another episode of the Three Admirals. It's your boy Jerome. I'm joined by Kevin and Josh. Why don't you guys say hi?
What's up?
What up? What up?
All right, so chapter 990, Army of One. It was a crazy one, but before we get into that, just remember to go to
Fire.
House of Otaku for all your anime needs. If you guys want any posters, stickers, there's a lot of cool products on there. Hit us up on Instagram as well. But with that being said, Josh, why don't you get us started with that summary?
Thanks, Jerome. That was great as always, guys. So this week was definitely it was better than last week. Seems as though things are finally starting to pick up. And we begin with the cover story for Pound. Guys, I know hasn't been very exciting, but I guess now we're starting to see Chiffon and Lola. They are finally accepting Pound as their dad. Again, I have no idea where this is going to head, whether it's Elbaf or Wano, but that was just something interesting to see. And
I'm
diving,
a
yeah, go ahead.
I'm a contrarian, and I'm the only one in the One Piece universe who's like feeling the story. I'm not feel it. Listen, I'm not going to defend it. Not going to say it's good or anything, but I think it's a cute side story. Y'all are shaking your heads. I get it.
Well, I mean, you said you're feeling it, then you said it's not good, but
Okay, all
I'm
right,
just a
all
little
right.
confused by that.
All right, man, whatever. But to all those who are feeling it a little bit, who are like okay with it, I'm with you. Like, go ahead.
Yeah, to each his own, right? That's how it goes. So diving into it, guys, we got Sasaki. He was freed by Big Mom off panel. Just
Mm,
saying.
wow.
Um, but it's pretty interesting
Wow.
to see that Big Mom's attack had carried over. This was a couple of chapters ago, I think, and that attack ended up freeing him, which is pretty crazy. I mean, that speaks to Big Mom's powers. And interestingly, he said that he now has a grudge against Denjiro.
Hmm.
Seems like that's who he's going to be targeting. We'll see if that would be a fight, but that's pretty interesting there. Moving over to the top of the skull, we do see that Kaido is still fighting the forces of, well, the Mink forces.
Mhm.
Kaido doesn't seem to be doing much. Seems like Jack is doing a lot of the work, especially with the numbers up there as well. We see that Jack has seemingly dealt with the minor Ming forces, like the Musketeers and the Guardians, and it was pretty crazy to see Kinemon. He was actually looking like he was ready to gear up against Jack. I don't know what that was about, but Otis teasing us with that. Neko and Inuyasha, they're ready to fight. They transform to their forms. Of course, Oda's not going to show us right away. That's how he is. But Jack was sweating, so I don't know if
Mhm.
we're actually going to see Jack go all out. I feel like the Musketeers and the Guardians aren't really that tough of opponents, even using their Sulong form. So I think now that Jack will finally be tested, I think this would be a good way for all of us to kind of see which theory was right. Doesn't really mean that you know more than the other, but I think we're getting closer to that. We're going to see if Jack really does have a hybrid form. That'd be interesting.
One thing I'll add there is I
Yeah.
think the scabbards, they're just holding off until I think they're setting up to fight Kaido directly. Uh, yeah, the scabbards just were holding off, not wasting any of their energy, while everybody else was just fighting the big war, just
Yeah,
like Kaido.
that definitely makes sense. You don't want them to waste any or too much energy when, of course, they are focused on Kaido's head.
Mhm.
So then we get another shift. We are back with Hawkins. Like, I don't know how this guy got there, but he's there and he's playing with his cards, and he's seen with Drake. And super interesting. This is something that the community has definitely been debating for quite some time, or this for the last few days, is that he has predicted that a man has a 1% chance of surviving
Mm.
until tomorrow. So we'll talk about that a little after the review here, but it's definitely going to be interesting to hear your guys' thoughts on that.
Hmm.
So it seems as though the whole intercrew battle between the Beast Pirates and the Flying Six, it has been put on hold.
Mm.
King has ordered them to stop anyone trying to reach Kaido. So I guess now we're going to start getting them into a fight. I'm not sure who's going to be fighting who, but it seems as though they're definitely going to be directly in the way of Luffy and the rest of the alliance trying to get up to Kaido.
Mhm.
And interestingly, King seems to be super competent. he even warned the Flying Six not to underestimate his opponents, and you don't really get that too much, especially when it comes to Luffy and the Straw Hats. A lot of the villains don't take him seriously.
Yeah, yeah.
So we actually see someone in Kaido's crew that knows that you never like these guys could be a threat. So that was pretty neat.
Yeah.
Moving forward, we get a bit more battles on the ground floor. We see some of the Alliance trying to make room for Luffy and the crew to get through the numbers, and this is where Luffy made a really cool comparison. As we see the numbers, each one of them is basically as big as oars, which took the entire Straw Hat crew to take out. And Luffy mentioned that things are different now. Now, basically, Luffy himself is probably able to take them all out. So it kind of shows you how much they've grown from Thriller Bark. And Thriller Bark was the first arc where we learn about Big Mom and Kaido. So that's pretty
Mhm.
crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's a nice little callback.
Yeah.
So we finally get the big reveal. We knew that Queen was looking to take out someone. Many people did guess it was Drake, and it was. Wasn't too much of a surprise, but it was so crazy to see. Who's Who was actually playing on Queen's team. From what I understood, maybe I'm getting this wrong, but it did seem as though Who's Who was always with Queen on this, knowing that it was Drake. They
Yeah.
played him, and
Yeah,
so
you're right.
that was definitely a nice twist.
Mhm.
But Drake did escape and used his hybrid form to attack a number, while at the same time, Luffy had also used Gear 4 to attack a number as well. So that was a pretty cool panel. And Drake, I guess, had a flashback listening to Kobe. You know, Kobe's a huge Luffy guy. Drake's gonna put his faith and his trust in Luffy, and he's decided that he's gonna team up with him. So that's another supernova. We now have Killer, we now have Kid, we now have Law. So it seems as though it's starting to come together. I definitely do think that we're gonna get a supernova thing against Kaido, maybe some sort of temporary alliance for now.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's basically it. I mean, that kind of covers the chapter. I'm sure I missed some things, but if you guys really wanted to just speak up and pick up where I left off, go ahead, Jerome.
So one thing I noticed that was really weird, if you go back up at the panel, and the last thing we see Hawkins looking at another card. So this is Who's Who says we're going to get Queen. Drake says don't get me involved in your beef. But then you look at Hawkins again, and he's still looking at the cards. So is he still thinking about the person he gave a 1% chance to? I don't think so, because like if you already figure out somebody's at a 1% chance, why would you still be looking at the cards? Is he looking at maybe like X Drake's actions, or what is he doing? That last panel is just like kind of weird to me, because I don't know. Hawkins is up to something for sure.
Mhm.
That's a very good point. I did look at that and I overlooked it, but now that you mention it, maybe he's keeping some vital information to himself. I mean, that's a really good point. We should definitely keep an eye out on him. He might be a huge X factor in Kaido's defeat, for sure.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I guess I didn't make much of it. But speaking to like Hawkins and how he's going to play a role, I still think, despite his betrayal of Drake, do we all agree we still see him betraying the Beast Pirates? Like, say the percentage switches or something like that, he'll be like, okay, let me just hop on this side.
Hawkins betraying the Beast Pirates?
Yeah, I still
Yeah,
see.
I think every supernova is going to end up on Luffy's side, except maybe Apu, but I could still see Apu somehow uh, joining the alliance. It's just kind of lined up for all these guys to be on the same side.
Okay. Yeah, when I was looking at that, I guess my biggest reaction. Well, first off, before going on reactions, what are we rating this chapter? What are we rating?
I'd say an 8.5 from me.
8.5. Josh,
I give it an 8.
an 8.
Um, 8's high tier for me, so I mean, it was great.
I'm the only one giving it a 9. I guess I'm on that. I'm on the 9. I think the betrayal discussion, and just seeing all the One Piece characters just fighting again, that's what made it very nice for me. 9, maybe 9's a little too high. I might go back on that score, but yeah, so far a 9 out of 10 chapter for me. But everybody else is on an 8, so I kind of see where you guys are coming from with that.
Like I feel like it teased a lot, and a lot of the big reveals were things that we knew were coming. Like we knew X Drake would end up betraying eventually. They teased the Sulong forms of Neko and Inu. I mean, it's heavily hinted that probably Jack's going to end up going into that next gear soon, but we don't actually see any of it. And that's kind of what's holding me back from putting it up that next level to a 9.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that got me to go to an 8.5 and not an 8 would just be Hawkins playing the cards was like really interesting to me, and those kind of things like make me enjoy a chapter even more. If I'm thinking after the chapter, like what's going to happen next, where could this go? That's kind of why I went with 8.5.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point. My reaction to the chapter was kind of off the chapter. I just noticed now that Luffy is just really, really comfortable in Gear 4 now, in the sense that
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't drain his energy at all. I know a lot of people kind of look at Luffy going into Gear 4 and will say like, oh, he needs Gear 4 to beat this character or to beat that character. I don't think necessarily he needs it. I just think he knows that going into Gear 4 will be something that takes less energy, and it'll be something that he can finish off an opponent quick. So like sometimes he'll even at the start of Wano, Luffy's very first attack was on that drunk guy who spilled red bean soup on. I think we can all agree he didn't need Gear 3 elephant gun to knock that guy out. But he was pissed and he was emotional, so he did it just to kind of vent out. So I think that's what we see with Gear 4, which brings up more and more. I'm getting more convinced that he has a special attack or something special lined up for Kaido to knock him out. It's something that we haven't seen yet. So,
Yeah, I think the fact that he's like you said, like Gear 4 is going to be his like go-to move.
mhm,
And if Gear 4 is the go-to move, that has to mean something's around the corner, like either a fifth gear, if not a fifth gear, maybe a new form. And if
mhm.
not a new form, like it better be a crazy attack, because I don't really see how just an attack would be enough. I feel like it has to be either a new form or a fifth gear. And this arc is all about Yonkos, right? So
Yeah.
it makes sense for now there to be a fifth gear. Now he is able to fight a Yonko, and maybe that fifth gear is something that puts him over the top in a one-on-one with an Emperor.
That's dope. That's dope. Yeah, I agree, man.
But I think the community's been going crazy with this one. I'm gonna need like all your opinions, but who do you think Hawkins was talking about? Who is that person with the 1% chance? I'll tell you for myself, like right away, I thought Luffy, and I've realized like that was the easy answer, and I've been swayed in my decision. But right away, I thought Luffy. Josh, what did you think?
I right away, I'm not gonna lie, I definitely was thinking of Luffy and Kaido, but
Mm.
but then I know Oda, he's not that predictable. I started to lean towards Law just
Yes.
because he and Hawkins have just seemed, or they just been always matched up with each other from when Luffy entered Wano. Hawkins and Drake, they fought for a bit at the beginning. Then there was a whole thing with Law being tortured, and even when Law escaped after Luffy was defeated by Kaido, Hawkins said that he was going after Law. So it just seems like there is like Oda's trying to like have them in some story together, and I don't know. I just have a feeling that it will be Law because
Yeah.
huge, sorry, just huge death flags on him. I think if anyone's gonna die, it could be him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
His story is done. I mean, Doflamingo
Yeah.
was his goal. He avenged Corazon, and we got his backstory. Like Law has a complete his character's done.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I totally agree. The first person I thought was Law. Definitely, I think he has a 1% chance of living through this. And when you kind of look at Law's character too, he just hates the smile so much and everything that it's tied to, especially Doflamingo's legacy. He would give his life just to make sure that it all goes away. So you're right. I think his story is done. I think a good substitute, even for Law, in terms of like medical expertise. No, I'm not going to go there. But, anyways, I think it's done. There's nothing more we need to know about Law. I think it would be actually a good. I don't like character. I'm not a big fan of thinking like a character needs to die for the story to be good. But I think it would be a good wraparound for it for him to end it in Onigashima. That's my personal.
And to piggyback off that, do you guys think he's going to perform his immortal technique, or do you think he's just going to die? Or do you, like, I feel like what's really the point of having this big technique that kills the user if nobody's actually going to end up using it? So I think that might be how he ends up going out. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
Why would he? But who would he use it for? Like,
Luffy,
if
maybe?
that would like ruin a little bit Luffy's character. The fact that he's immortal now.
That's true.
It's a good point. My thought, which was so out of the box, was that he was going to die, but who knows how to steal powers? What if Blackbeard shows up and he ends up getting the Opi Opi no Mi? He gets one of his crew members to use it on himself, and then Blackbeard is just, because a lot of people, there's a theory that he's gonna drown. That's how he's gonna die. That's what a lot of people think. Like, I've read that before multiple times. Like, he's gonna be very tough to defeat in a one-on-one fight. And I can see him. He is the type of person that wants to like rule the world, or he just seems to have like that villain, what's what I'm looking for, the typical villain feel, where he just wants to be immortal or king of the world or whatever. So who knows? I mean, but I know like Oda obviously introduced that whole technique for the Opi Opi no Mi for a reason. So I think it will be used, but maybe it might not be as obvious as Law using it on Luffy,
Yeah. No, and that makes sense. And I feel like that's something that Blackbeard would have on his list of things to do and like things to have done to him. And yeah, that'd just be another thing in Blackbeard's favor.
Yeah, I'm feeling it. I think what he was trying to show with the Opi Opi no Mi was more like the extent of the devil fruit rather than like a technique that would be used. Because I just don't see on principle Law ever using it for anybody. And I don't see anybody really around him. Like, I don't really see anybody around him really using it. So, but you never know. I think though that like what we're all saying is that Law's death within Onigashima would be the most impactful one, would actually change the story, and it would be befitting.
I don't think it'd be most impactful, but I think it's like most likely to happen.
Okay.
Yeah. Like when I think like an impactful death, I'm like, that really changes how the fight's gonna go. And like Law to me is not really like a game changer in terms of how Onigashima is gonna play out. But I think it's like if anybody's played out their course, it's got to be Law at this point.
All right, I don't disagree. I feel you.
I definitely feel that. There's also a very interesting quote by Hyogoro calling Luffy the Wisdom King. I don't know if that was in the official translation or not, so forgive me on that. But he made a pretty interesting. I don't know what he was referring to when he saw Gear 4 Bound Man. I don't know if that's going to play a part moving forward for Luffy's character or for the story of Wano. But that was also something that I noticed. Just wanted to touch base on that a little bit too.
He called them the official translation said he called them the guardian deity.
The guardian deity. Okay, it's like a Buddha. Interesting.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jerome.
No, I don't really have too much to say on that. I mean, I definitely thought it was weird that he said that, but like, I don't know how much that changes. Does that mean his next form is going to be something like along those lines too?
Ooh,
or
good. That's a good point.
Guardian deity. Interesting. People have been saying that his next form might be like a Tiger Man or something like that. I unpopular opinion, I don't think Luffy needs any more forms. I think like his mastery of of hockey might be enough already, but who knows? Who knows? I don't. I do see that explanation kind of ringing true, but we'll see in the coming chapters.
For sure.
So you don't think he needs like something stronger than Gear 4? He just needs his hockey to be better?
My thing about it is when you look at someone who, the reason why I think that when you look at someone who doesn't use hockey or doesn't have a devil fruit, I should say, we see Shanks. So we know that someone is in the story that doesn't use like devil fruit power ups, and
Hmm.
he's really strong as well. So I'm looking, and we also see characters like Roger. He might have a devil fruit, we don't know, but we've seen him even go over the likes of Whitebeard and like hold his own without using his devil fruit power, to the best of our knowledge. So I'm thinking like Luffy is already has an advanced knowledge of observation hockey. I think he's already mastered advanced armament hockey, and he probably already has some type of mastery of his Supreme Conqueror's hockey. So I think like that puts him above a lot of people, and I'm although a lot of people will say that the Yonkos already have those advanced forms of hockey, I don't think so. I don't think so either. I think they were just born strong, and they never necessarily even needed to learn those advanced forms. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely makes sense. Like, there's a good amount of people who don't have devil fruits who are super strong in the series, but at the same time, like when you have somebody who is constantly like learning new abilities, and that's like the big thing about Luffy is he has a big fight, he learns something new, he has a new form or a new move or a new gear, and it would just kind of be weird to drop that like so deep in the story when we're like 2/3 in, like 3/4 in. Um, and yeah, like I just can't see him not learning something else, like another form or another gear. I'd be kind of disappointed by that.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I see what you're saying. Josh, any thoughts on that?
Uh, no, it makes sense. I mean, going back to what you said there, Kevin, um, we don't have confirmation, of course, of Big Mom or Kaido having advanced observation hockey, but we have seen Big Mom do something similar with advanced armor hockey when she was
Hmm.
going into her poneglyph room when Brooke was getting a
Yeah,
copy of her poneglyph. So I do think she might have that advanced armor hockey, but I know what you mean. You make a good point, but that's the whole thing about One Piece that I love is that I don't know exactly what's going to happen. Like I would love to think that Luffy has a new form, but if he didn't, I wouldn't be mad because I know Oda will do it right.
hmm
And
Yeah.
so I don't really think about it too much, but it's a great question.
and more than that, like Luffy's hockey, the hockey he's learning, the advanced form of hockey, it's actually, according to Hyogoro, it's actually two steps above, because it's not just one person transferring their hockey into an object to destroy it. It's one person transferring it to destroy the insides of it. So that's what he's been essentially learning. So it's actually, that's why I think it's just levels above what normal people just like practice.
Yeah,
So that's why I think he would have an edge. But you know what, man? Oda's been really good on transformation so far. So we'll see what he cooks up with this one. We'll see what he cooks up.
for sure.
I was going to ask you guys, what do you guys think about the numbers so far? Because they seem pretty laughable. Like if you're a named character, you're not really too worried about a number, but if you're fodder, like you're definitely concerned. But like it doesn't seem like a single named character is really too concerned about the numbers.
Yo, they got dusted, man. They got dusted by Frankie's radical beam. Luffy one shotted by Luffy. And then when even those samurais were about to fight,
And they're disappointing. I'm not gonna lie. They were so menacing when they had their whole shadow, their introduction.
Hmm.
Like, I really thought that these guys were gonna be a problem, but like they're a fodder, man.
And they're getting ran through. Like, well, when Drake one shot, I mean, and I'm sure they're not dead. And I'm sure they're not going to be completely out of the picture. But like the fact that Drake is just like one shotting them. And yeah, no, I was a little bit disappointed with that. They don't seem as scary now. Like Zoro's just cutting their sword. I mean, if Zoro's coming after you, there's really not much you could do. But they just seem pretty laughable.
yeah, I don't see them. Maybe Boss Hyogoro might give him one hit. Actually, might he has that advanced hockey. If he gets one open hit, he might knock one of them out. So I wouldn't put it past it.
Maybe, maybe. Did you guys have any other questions for the week or any other impressions?
What we got here. Do you guys remember Kokoro, the character from Water
Ooh,
7?
Oh, yes,
guy's
yes,
going
yes.
deep.
Did you guys see? It was a thread, so I'm not going to take credit, of course, but there was similarities between her and Sasaki.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah,
did
yeah.
you see that? They both have the green hair, both fishermen, and they both seem to like drinking.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe there's a relation there, and maybe that would kind of start a Frankie fight. Maybe that's Frankie's opponent, if that's the case. But that's just something. Maybe Oda's just playing around, wanting to give them the same color scheme. Who knows? But
They look similar. When I saw the same post,
yeah,
and I was just like, man, you know what? It
it
kind of
could.
would make sense. And
Mhm.
like now Frankie has an opponent. I mean, I also feel like Sasaki could fight Jinbei because they're both fishmen.
Yep.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, no, I definitely thought that was interesting and like what a throwback too, right?
All the way back to Water Seven.
Yeah. To tell you the truth, that whole discussion brings up the fact that I still think there's some betrayal amongst the Beast Pirates, man. I still don't think they're either Black Maria, either Sasuke. I still think one of them is going to betray him one way or another. I don't think they like working with Queen or King. I don't think they're okay with like who's who. Obviously, is loyal to Queen. I didn't think that would happen, but I think one of them in this whole ruckus, probably Black Maria, or probably who knows. You know what? I'm gonna go out on the limb. One of the Toby Ropo is gonna take out a member of the other side. One of them,
Oh,
member of the other side. Whether it's those ninjas, whether it's King or Queen, they're more than X Drake. They're gonna take out a member of the other side.
Okay. And not Hawkins, of course, like either like somebody who's
No,
not a supernova, right? Okay.
yeah, not Hawkins, not Hawkins. Because honestly, man, the Toby Ropo, they don't look threatening at all. I think when Luffy was about to go Gear 4 on ulti, I think it was about to one-shot her. I
that's
think
a wrap. A
yeah, I
rough
think it was
wrap.
about to one-shot her. That's why he only wanted to go. He was like, okay, let's see how tough you are with that. Now, I'm not saying that one shot would have knocked out ulti completely because they are zone users, and zone users just like they get thrown in lava and they come back fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, like I don't think it would have been over, but they're not a threat. They're not a threat.
And I feel like this is one of the few chapters where I actually thought that the Toby Ropo came off a little bit more intimidating and less like a joke because
Really?
so far to me the raid has felt like I mean Sasaki just got like locked up. You don't really see too much action from them. They can't find Yamato, but like this chapter, it sounds like they were kind. I mean, the fact that they trapped Drake like that, I was like, okay. And Drake was getting beat up, right? Like
Yeah.
Drake was scarred. He was bleeding. Like it looked like he had been through it. I mean, that's who's who, Queen and Hawkins there. So it's 3-on-1. But I still felt like the Toby Ropo looked more menacing this chapter than like any other previous chapter. And the fact
Really?
that King does have faith in them kind of makes me think like, okay, these guys can't be total scrubs because so far you're definitely right, Kevin. They've been laughable, just like most of the Beast
Yeah.
Pirates.
Yeah, I honestly think, man, Sanji could probably take page one ulti and throw in another one in there. Like with his
Hey,
No,
no,
I'd agree.
yeah, I
it,
don't think
it it does seem like that, right?
he barely like broke a sweat with page one. With ulti there, I think it'll just be like, yeah, okay.
But you gotta watch when you're using the Straw Hats as a benchmark because they're way stronger now. So like somebody being as strong as Sanji, like that's actual competition. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
you're
if
right.
you're like maybe Frankie's like a better comparison, or like Usopp. I don't know. Just
Oh my god.
Sanji, Zoro, and Luffy though. That's like monster trio. Those guys are. I feel like all three of them are stronger than all three of the Toby Ropo.
For
Like not
sure.
all three of the Toby Ropo, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I would definitely agree with that.
I yeah, I might go on a limb and say like probably Luffy could take minus X Drake. He could probably take all of them in Gear 4.
Yo, you could put X Drake in there. I think he could take.
No,
I think he could take all of them.
I don't think. I think X Drake he hid some of his strength. I think he did. I don't think he was going all out with them.
Who had the higher bounty at Saboti? I think it was Hawkins. Actually, had the higher bounty than X Drake, right?
I thought it was Kid.
Kid had the highest out of all of them, but between Hawkins and X Drake, I think Hawkins had a higher bounty at the time. I
Yeah,
feel like X Drake is like kind of in the middle there.
it was Kid, Luffy, Hawkins, Drake,
There
Law.
you go. There
That's
you go.
that order.
Josh, the library man, the fact checker.
But yeah, it drove me right. Hawkins definitely had that higher bounty. Drake. Oh, I mean, interesting enough. Do you guys think? Well, now that we're even talking about that before we wrap up, do you think that Law is a member of Sword? Is he a secret Marine?
I think so.
Nah.
Okay, okay. We'll save that. We'll save that for maybe this week's episode when we since we have a break, we can do some discussions, whether it's theories, battle domes, whatever it is, But that's something interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Did you guys have any other points or? Okay, so unfortunately we got a break next week, so we're gonna come at you guys with another discussion video. We're gonna think of something in the meantime. But with that being said, if you guys liked the video, comment, tell us what you thought about it, like, subscribe, and take care and have a good night, everyone.
Yeah. See you guys.
Peace out.